So if anybody wants to say something like, "Oh, this Zach's full of shit," or "There's no way that this happened. I know her really well. I knew Zach's mother." Or I've heard another one, "Oh, Zach's mother's still alive." No, she isn't. My mother's name was Pat, and after she passed away at the age of 19, my father remarried to an Al, we'll call him. But anyways, with that going on, people get confused and then they want to believe that this other person is my mother or something. Now, here's an interesting problem. I get a lot of people just coming up with bullshit. "Oh, that never happened. Oh, that not so hurtful." That's not how you get to the bottom of something, is by dismissing a problem and trying to go just party someplace on the beach. That is not how you deal with the situation. Now, I know some older gentlemen think that that's a very good idea. Well, we'll just say, "It never happened. Go fuck yourself." And then I'll go to the bar and go get a beer or whatever. But that's not how we move forward in life. Now, let's say somebody came up to me and told me that they saw me on camera stealing something. Now, I know that's not true. I know it isn't. Like, for instance, some random guy downtown Lowell gave me a nice blue warm jacket one winter. About a week later, I was at the bus station and a gentleman came up to me telling me I stole and I ran out with some tip jar at Dunkin' Donuts that was connected. I said, "That's impossible. I would never do something like that." So I stood there and I started asking questions. "When was this?" And he goes, "Like a week ago. You know when it was." Starts getting violent with me, grabbing me, shaking me, things like that. I go, "Hey, mister, relax. If you want to call the police, you can. But I'm telling you, I had nothing to do with this." "Do you have any camera footage of this?" I ask him. "Yes, we do." "May I see it?" So then he pulls it across the room. He makes a line and tells me I'm not allowed to see it past this line. I try to look at it. I can't see really well. But what I do notice is the guy has brown skin. So I mentioned to him, "Does that look like the right skin color on the film?" He goes, "Well, no, but maybe you had makeup on." I said, "No, that's probably not the case. You know what probably happened? Somebody probably gave me this jacket last week, because that's how I got this jacket, like I told you, and that's all this is." He goes, "Oh, you were given that jacket?" I go, "Yes." If you ask questions, you get to the bottom. See, if the officer, instead of shaking me and trying to put his hands on me and screaming in my face, making it harder for me to speak, interrupting me, if he just asked me a simple question like, "Where did you get the jacket?" then you can get to the bottom of something a lot easier. Like if you ask me, "When did my disorder start?" Uh, or if you ask me, "Why were you so skinny?" Or "Did you look sick as a child?" Like if somebody goes, "Well, if you had really this stuff going on, you would look sick. If you can't get poisoned over and over, you would be skinny as a bone, pale, and you would look sick." Well, guess what? I can answer that question. I looked skinny as a bone. I was pale. I barely could eat any food. And I looked like an abuse victim who was sick because I was getting poisoned. So it all matches up. If you ask questions, if you ask, you shall receive. It's that simple. If somebody comes up with a problem for you, or if you're trying to if there's a really tough situation to untangle, or if you're confused about what to believe, ask more questions. Ask, "Where did you get the jacket? When did this start? Where did you get hurt? Why did the hospital not help you? How did your mother get away with this? What states were you brought to? Where is there records I could bring you? Why haven't you driven? Oh, you can't drive? Why don't you drive? Oh, if we drove you, could that do it? Oh, it wouldn't be just one trip, it would be multiple trips. Okay, well, how long have you been shaking? Okay. Oh, well, how about the education stuff? Oh, you missed out on 4 years. How about the school you're talking about? Oh, we can drive around and identify it. You remember what it looks like, but not the name. Oh, it was right when you moved here, so you were age 12 to 13. Asking questions like, how old were you? What was the color of the building? Where were we? What grade were you in? What grade were you in the year after? When did you get hurt? How did you get hurt? How did you know that this is a neurological problem? What is it once in a while, or is it all the time? Can you feel it all the time and it's a lower dose? Like, one thing that confuses people is that it's like a lower voltage sometimes in my back. So if it's like really, really hot out and really warm, I don't have any injuries. Like, let's say when I first moved to New Hampshire, I was completely sober. I only had my pre-existing conditions. So I have ADHD, I'm hyper, anxiety severe, PTSD severe, and 25-year-old neurological disorder that's causing a problem in my nervous system. I also have a lot of other stuff that comes along with being drugged or having drugs forced into you from age 5 to 20. Now, also, I have hepatitis, and that was because I was a rampant drunk living in the shelters, woods, and living side by side with addicts. There was also a time where I used to use Percocet, Vicodin, and do lines of those, but that wasn't like horrible. There was a time where I even tried using clean needles from Walgreens. I'm not even kidding. This is while I was living in the woods like an animal. This was after 15 years of somebody else forcing these drugs into me. And don't forget, I had an overdose at age 7. I was given opiates on a plane. I was given all different types of drugs. At Halloween, I used to get sick and my weird stuff would happen to me. This is after years of already getting high. I mean, my first high, I must have been like 5, 7 years old. I'm not sure what was in that overdose, but I was fucked up as a child. I mean, some of those pills really get you high, like Xanax mixed with Adderall, or Xanax mixed with Thorazine and Seroquel, or you can add in Lamictal, Remeron, Haldol. Well, Haldol is Thorazine. You can add in Trazodone. There was also Vicodin at one point I was prescribed from the ER for the extreme migraines. And yeah, my mother was popping those. So you got all this crazy medication going on. At the age of 16, I'm getting prescriptions of Vicodin for the side effects of my medication. I got such severe migraines that they had to prescribe me Vicodin. So yeah, there's all this going on way before I'm 21 years old and I'm, drinking every day, or 22 and I spend 6 months, taking pills and doing a line when I can't afford the Percocet. So yeah, that was a big, big, big problem. Now I've been sober for 8 years. I had that small little 4 year chunk in the woods or whatever. And now it's time to handle the real problem at hand, the 25 years of suffering, the shaking, the why I can't drive. I mean, I need to be able to drive. I need to be able to go to the shelter. I need to be able to do these things. And to do these things, I have to handle a big issue that my father left me. This is what I was left as an inheritance. I was left a big mess by my mother. All this medical mess, all my medical records. I mean, I have fraudulent medical records up the ass from my mother. I'm not kidding. Complete fraudulent medical records. Like my mother saying that I have attachment disorder based upon green algae, or a G, being written on a metal. I must be writing my initials on stuff, my old initials, because I have attachment disorder. And this was how she used to explain this stuff. But even if I did have attachment disorder, that was just one of hundreds of illnesses she tried to come up with. She also wanted to get medication for schizophrenia in me. She used to yell and scream, "You need to be on schizophrenic medication. I want you on schizophrenic medication." But the doctors wouldn't allow it. Not with that one. They allowed her to use lithium, Thorazine, Haldol, Trazodone, Xanax, Ativan, Adderall, Ritalin long acting, Seroquel, was Quantapin, Haldol, what's Thorazine, because sometimes there was generics when I did it. When it came back to it, there was injections, there was double doses, there was overdoses, there was full bottles of Epicac. There was all that before I was even 16. I didn't know how to handle it. Now I'm 31, cleaning up this mess. Oh, not only that, my father screwed up my Social Security. He lied and manipulated Social Security. He lied and manipulated the program and home I was in. He was supposed to turn that over for a year to the program, and he kept it instead. I wasn't able to keep it, but the program was supposed to teach me how to use it and move me into my own housing. He decided against that. That screwed things up even more with Social Security. And don't get me wrong, there's a whole nother big mess as well. There's a whole bunch of messes. I can't even go into the doctors for a broken leg without getting mistreated. This is going to be for the rest of my life until this mess is cleaned up. And this is what I inherited from my mother. Oh, yeah, by the way, a lawyer called me after my mother passed away and told me to talk to my father because I have an inheritance, something to do with Social Security, my mother's Social Security. Apparently, when your mother is like 65 years old, just about to be that age, and she passes away, the father and the sons can collect some type of money from the state or the federal government, is what the lawyer explained. And I need to talk to my father about this Social Security inheritance, right away because he's doing something he's not supposed to. So I asked my father about this, and my father lies through his teeth, tells me he knows nothing, and then goes collects all the money himself. Because my other brother, Jeff, he already said there's a problem with my mother. He was very upset, and he moved to another family. I don't know what his problem was. We all have a problem with my mother. My other brother, Tim, he has a problem with my mother. He didn't want to show up to the funeral. So the other two sons wouldn't even show up. I mean, one of them did out of respect to my father in like sandals and shorts with paint all over him. But I mean, he made it very clear he didn't want to be there. Me, I did mourn her because she was my mother. I did give her a lot of love, and I did love her. I just didn't love what she was doing to me. I wanted her to admit what she was doing and stop whatever the hell she was doing. I had no idea what to call it. I had no idea what this mental illness of hers was. All I knew was she was lying all the time, and I'm always telling people, please have her stop lying. Please have her stop lying. She's lying again. Please stop. Please stop. But after years of this, I got so brainwashed into believing her lies. It was fucked up. My father's even a victim in a way because she lied to him quite a bit, telling him that I'm all ill in all these ways and that he needs to spend all this money getting me medicated. Like the schizophrenic stuff that never happened. That one really traumatic for me because I had to speak up and tell her no. And then she got violent and mad with me when she ever got no. If I ever told her, no, I don't think you're right, or no, you're being crazy, oh boy, did I get it. Oh boy. So now I got to try to fix all this on my own. I already been trying for 8 years while in New Hampshire, and I tried for 15 years while traveling the country with my mother and father. From age 19 to 23, 24, there was a little break. There was a little break where I tried to treat myself and just was like, I don't want to deal with this shit. But that doesn't work. So I have to deal with this, but the only problem is nobody else wants to. The state doesn't, the state, everybody just wants me to crawl into the woods and die. That's their plan. Let's just have this guy crawl into the woods and die. The problem is that people don't deal with this very well. See, I'm super religious. I believe in forgiveness, honesty, telling the truth. I believe in pushing forward, never giving up, working real hard. And if you're injured and you're bleeding and you have to go someplace, you force it. You force your injuries and make them worse so you can get there. Because if you got to get to that doctor and there's no other way, and you're injured, you might have to make your injuries worse to get to the doctors. In my situation, other people maybe not. For me, yes. Well, this is my life. This is what I have to do.